U.S. officials urge Americans to use encrypted apps amid cyber attack that exposes live phone calls. This you can see coming out in just the last 24 hours. Here's another one coming out. FBI warns iPhone and Android users stop sending texts. This also you can see coming out in just the last 24 hours. And also, U.S. officials urge Americans to use encrypted apps amid unprecedented cyber attack. The FBI and the CISI officials said that it was impossible to predict when the telecommunication companies would be fully safe for interlopers. And again, all of this coming out in the last 24 hours. Today is December the 4th, 2024, and I'm going to get you caught up on the latest information on these cyber attacks, the details of what they're saying regarding the safety of your texts and your phone calls, which they are saying Americans around the nation have been compromised in cyber attacks, and they are not sure when they're going to be able to secure this. So I'm going to share with you the steps that you need to take. In addition to that, take a look at this. Kash Patel, Trump's pick for FBI director, targeted in a possible Iranian-backed cyber attack. Sources say you can see this also coming out today as well. A slew of cyber attack information coming out today, and also we have been hearing this for quite some time. CISA and the FBI have warned about various hackers pre-positioning for destructive cyber attacks against U.S. critical infrastructure, and we're hearing that communications have been hit, and we're also hearing about more cyber attacks on the way. So I'm going to share with you the latest information so you know exactly what is going on. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out so more people can get the latest information. I think that this is going to be very applicable to a lot of people. So please hit that like button, spread this out, share it. In addition to that, all of these articles are going to be linked down in the description below. But all you really need to do right now is Google hack, cyber attack, iPhone, Android users. All of this will pop up as it has come up in the last 24 hours. A massive warning coming out to Americans around the world about your information on your phone being hacked and what they could potentially get access to, and what you can do right now to go ahead and make sure that you can avoid this being compromised. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you the latest. As I mentioned, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? In addition to that, additional resources linked down below. A lot of nations we're hearing are saying we're in World War III right now with cyber attacks. There could be potential nuclear fallout. All of these warnings that are coming out, let us pray that none of this unfolds. But if you want to be prepared just in case, additional resources linked down in the description below, so that way you can stock up. And I always say here on the channel, don't be scared, be prepared, be ready. Knowledge is power, but I believe that the application of knowledge is the true power. When you know something, it's not just enough to know it, but to do stuff to prepare yourself. The proverb says that the wise see calamity coming and they adjust their path, but the simple, they see what's coming and they just continue on their way and they fall into calamity, into the pit. So I don't want that to happen to anybody here on the channel. Go ahead and have resources available to you down in the description along with these articles so you can see them for yourself. And again, if you appreciate that, hit that like button for me, subscribe, and let's go ahead and get right into the latest so that way you can see exactly what is going on. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with this article coming out from Yahoo News, as you can see, coming out in the last 24 hours, and it says, U.S. officials urge Americans to use encrypted apps amid cyber attacks that exposed live phone calls. So we're hearing live phone calls, text messages, all of these are exposed, and I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how and what you can do according to these articles. Now, this one says, amid an unprecedented cyber attack on telecommunication companies such as AT&T and Verizon. So if you have these carriers, you very much so need to make sure that you are paying attention to this. U.S. officials have recommended that Americans use encrypted messaging apps to ensure their communications stay hidden from foreign hackers. The hacking campaign, nicknamed Salt Typhoon by Microsoft, and again, this is the one that we've been hearing warnings of from the FBI for over the past year. This is a Chinese-backed group that they're saying is hacking various infrastructure systems, critical infrastructure systems across the U.S. to wreak havoc on American citizens is one of the largest intelligence compromises in U.S. history. So make no mistake, they are warning everybody in the nation. They are saying this is one of the biggest hacks we have seen so far, and it is on the cell phones, which nowadays we live off of our phones. It is almost impossible to drive around the streets without Google Maps and getting access to all of these things. We are in communication through the phones. And it has not yet been fully remediated yet either. So they're saying, please use caution. This hack is still effective on your phones right now. Officials on a news call Tuesday refused to set a timetable for declaring the country's telecommunication systems free of interlopers. So they are saying they still do not have a timetable. So again, just to clarify, in case you're wondering, we have heard from the FBI that they are aware of all of these compromises to our systems that are taking place. They're doing everything they can to combat against them, but they are just reminding us that every time they try to change something, something else is changing against them. And they're saying that our U.S. cyber defenses are outnumbered by China alone. 50-1. For every one U.S. cyber defender we have, there are 50 cyber hackers trying to break our U.S. critical infrastructure systems. So they're saying they are trying, and at this time, they are requesting information as to when are our telecommunication systems through Verizon, AT&T, iPhones, Androids going to be secure. They're saying they are unable to give us a timetable at this time. Now, it says officials told NBC that China hacked AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen's technology to spy on customers. Let's go ahead and switch this back over here so you can see the article. It says to spy on customers. A spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to a request for comments. Now, in the call Tuesday, two officials, so again, this just happening yesterday, a senior FBI official who asked not to be named, and Jeff Green, Executive Assistant Director for Cybersecurity at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, aka the CISA, both recommended using encrypted messaging apps to Americans who want to minimize the chance of China intercepting your communications. Our suggestions, what we have told folks internally, is not new here. Encryption is your friend. Whether it's on text messaging or if you have the capacity to use encrypted voice communications, even if the adversary is able to intercept the data, if it is encrypted, it will make it impossible, Green said. Now, the FBI official said people looking to further protect their mobile device communications would benefit from considering using a cell phone that automatically receives timely operating system updates, responsibly managing encryptions and phishing resistant, and multi-factor authentication for emails, social media, and collaboration tool accounts. The scope of the telecom compromise is so significant, Green said, that it is impossible for the agencies to predict a time frame on when we'll have full eviction. So they're saying that, again, they are saying this is the largest hack we have seen in U.S. history, the scope of which they can't even tell us the extent of how many people have been impacted and how long it's going to take them to fully say that we are now safe and secure. So they are saying, please, if you are hearing this, take necessary precautions. Consider it that you have been compromised on your phones. The hackers generally accessed three types of information, the FBI official said. One type has been call records, also metadata, showing the numbers that phone calls and when they're taking place. The hackers focused on records around Washington, D.C. areas, and the FBI does not plan to alert people whose phone's metadata was accessed. So if your phone has been hacked, you're not going to be notified. They're just saying this is the scope of this is so big. Just assume that you have been hacked and take the necessary precautions to protect yourself. The second type has been live phone calls of some specific targets. The FBI official declined to say how many alerts it had been sent out to targets of that campaign. The presidential campaigns, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, as well as the officials, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, they told NBC News back in October that the FBI had informed them that they had been targeted. So they are only informing people that are higher up in Congress that are making decisions, but they're saying everyone, you can anticipate you have been hacked. The third has been systems that telecommunication companies use in compliance with commissions on accreditations for law enforcement agencies. which allows law enforcement and intelligence agencies with court orders to track people's communications. These systems can include classified court documents, court orders from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which processed some U.S. intelligence court orders. The FBI officials declined to say whether any classified materials were accessed. Privacy advocates have long advocated using end-to-end encrypted apps. Signal and WhatsApp automatically implement an end-to-end encryption in both calls and messages. Google Messages and iMessages also can encrypt calls and texts end-to-end. So in other words, when you see the blue or the green, I believe what they're saying is that they're encrypted if it's iPhone to iPhone or if it's Android to Android, but when you mix that could cause an issue because that is not end-to-end. The FBI and other federal law enforcement agencies have a complicated relationship with encryption technology, historically advocating against full end-to-end encryption that does not allow law enforcement access to digital materials, even with warrants. But the FBI has also supported forms of encryption that do allow some law enforcement access in certain circumstances. Even though the hacking campaign was first publicly disclosed in the lead-up to the elections, the U.S. believes that it was not an attempt to sway results, the FBI officials have said, but instead a massive but traditional espionage operation by China to gather intelligence on American politics and government. We see this as a cyber espionage campaign, not dissimilar to any other approaches. Certainly, the way that they went about this was very, very specific about the telcos and the ISPs, but it fits into the cyber espionage bucket, the FBI has said. Now, in a statement to NBC News, Ron Wyden, one of the Senate's fiercest privacy advocates, criticized America's reliance on CALEA as it leaves such sensitive information unencrypted, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, Microsoft, Google. When those companies are inevitably hacked, China and other adversaries can steal those communications, he said. So they are saying that this is the largest hack that we have seen so far, giving information as to what is unfolding. Now, in addition to that, we're hearing that it's texts, phone calls, all of these. Here's another one coming out from Forbes, and this article says timing is everything. Just as Apple adoption of RCS has seemed to signal a return to text messaging versus the unstoppable growth of WhatsApp, then along comes a surprising new hurdle to stop that in its tracks. While messaging Android to Android or iPhone to iPhone is secure, messaging from one to the other is not. So again, they're saying non-end-to-end encryption could be an issue. So they are saying that make sure your texts and your calls are encrypted. Now, even the FBI and the CISA, the U.S. Cyber Defense Agency, are warning Americans to use fully encrypted messaging on their phone calls where they can. The backdrop is the Chinese hacking of the U.S. networks that is reportedly ongoing and likely larger in scale than previously understood. Fully encrypted comms is the best defense against this compromise, and Americans are being urged to use that wherever possible. The network cyber attacks attributed to Salt Typhoon, a group associated with China's Ministry of Public Security, has generated heightened concern as to the vulnerabilities within critical U.S. communication networks. The reality is different. Without fully end-to-end encrypted messaging and calls, there has always been a potential for the content to be intercepted. That's the entire reason the likes of Apple, Google, and Meta advise its use, highlighting the fact that even they can't see content. Now, as reported by Politico, advice given by the CISA Jeff Green and an unnamed FBI senior official, as we read from the last article, are strongly urging Americans to use your encrypted communications where you have it. We definitely need to do that. Kind of look at what it means long-term, how we secure our networks. And here you can see this post coming out on X from NBC News amid an unprecedented cyber attack on telecommunications companies such as AT&T, Verizon. And we had heard these reports before, but now coming out in the last 24 hours, they are saying it is larger than they anticipated. They do not know when they're going to be able to fix it and be able to say that we are safe and secure in our communications. And they are saying that it is the largest hack in history. and just consider yourself compromised. Officials are recommending that Americans use encrypted messaging apps to ensure that their communications stay hidden from foreign hackers. So as you make those phone calls and those texts, take into consideration what it is that you're saying, what it is that you're communicating, because it is very likely that if you are sending something, it could be intercepted. Now, reading on, it says the two officials bringing the media went as far as to suggest that Americans should use encrypted apps for all of their communications, according to reports. That means stop sending text between iPhones and Androids, albeit iMessages and Google Messages are fully encrypted between users on those platforms. Green added that our suggestions, what we have told folks internally, is not new here. Encryption is your friend, whether it's on text messaging or if you have the capacity to use encrypted voice communications. Even if the adversary is able to intercept that data, if it is encrypted, it will make it impossible. Now, an alert into ongoing telco network hacks jointly issued FBI, CISA, and NSA, as well as other Five Eyes agencies, was released on Tuesday yesterday. The lack of end-to-end encryption to protect cross-platform RCS, the successor of SMS, is a glaring omission. It was highlighted in Samsung's recent celebratory PR release on the success of the RCS, which included the caveat that only Android-to-Android messaging is secure. So if you got Android and your friends got Androids, those messages, they should be encrypted iPhone to iPhone, but they're saying when you intermingle, it is very susceptible to being intercepted. It remains a stark irony that while Google and Apple separately advise Android and iPhone users to rely on end-to-end encryption, when it comes to RCS, it's still missing, with no timeline in sight for the fix. Now, the mobile standard setter GSMA and Google have said encryptions will be coming to RCS, but there's no firm date yet. That assurance seemed a response to get backlash posts Apple's updates with the media pickup on the security issue. Apple, whose iPhone ecosystem includes ever more fully encryptions, has not commented. So there you have it, an update on that, as they are saying that, again, encryption is going to be your friend. And here's another one saying that this is an unprecedented cyber attack. They're not sure when they'll be able to say they're fully safe from interlopers. You can see this coming out in the last 24 hours as well. Amid the unprecedented cyber attack of telecommunication companies such as AT&T and Verizon, the U.S. officials have recommended that Americans use encrypted messaging apps to ensure their telecommunications stay hidden from foreign hackers. And again, we had heard the reports that there was hacks for AT&T, Verizon, Lumens, and they're saying it is Salt Typhoon. And this has come out as officials on a news call on Tuesday yesterday. They refused to set a timetable for declaring the country's communication systems free of interlopers. They are saying we have been hacked, the extent of which we have never seen before. They're saying to consider yourself hacked at this time, especially if you use AT&T, Verizon, and use iPhones and Androids. Now, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to a request for comments. Man, so let me know your thoughts in the comments, you guys. Put a 1 if you find this concerning and you're going to try to take steps to do encryption. Put a 2 if you think, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I typically do. Maybe you're like, hey, I don't even have anything to worry about. I don't have anything that they can steal or any, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. But they're saying that this is the largest hack that we have seen in history. And in my personal opinion, I think without a doubt, this is alarming that this could unfold. And to the extent that the government is saying they can't do anything about it and they can't tell us when they're going to be able to fix it. They're just telling everybody, hey, you're on your own. Take your own necessary steps to protect yourself, which is kind of like what I feel the theme is just in general. Does anybody actually trust the government to protect them? Let me know your thoughts. I don't think that that is a wise decision if you are relying on the government to protect you. I think that we need to do the necessary steps to make sure that we've got ourselves covered, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for ourselves and our family, and I don't suspect the government is going to back us. They're just saying it's the largest hack we've ever seen. Take precaution. Sorry, we're trying to deal with it. That's about it. That's about all that they've got for us. So we are hearing as well that the CISA, the government agency that is supposed to keep us safe from hacks, they were hacked themselves last year. They had to shut down their systems and try to get the hacking out of that. So the CISA itself, the U.S. government agency that's supposed to keep us from cyber attacks, was hacked themselves. So not a good sign. So like I said, make sure that you're doing everything in your power to keep yourself protected. Now, I'm also going to get you caught up as to what they're saying regarding these attacks taking place to Donald Trump's new Kash Patel, the person that he is trying to have as the new FBI director. As we've been hearing warnings about these potential attacks coming from the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, they're saying that they have now hacked Kash Patel in a cyber attack. I'm going to share with you the latest. And Maria, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate the support a ton. And I will continue to keep you up to date. Also, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that like button. I think 40 more likes gets us to 900 while we're live on this breaking news update that in the last 24 hours, they're saying the biggest cyber attack in history has hit. So please take a second, smash that like button, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And let's take a look at this as well as what they're saying regarding Kash Patel. And they're saying that this was a huge pick that sent shockwaves around America when Donald Trump said he wanted Kash Patel. But now we're hearing there have been cyber attack efforts against him. Kash Patel, President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the FBI, was a target of a potential Iranian-backed cyber attack. Two sources familiar with the matter told CBS News. Kash Patel was a key part of the first Trump administration's effort against the terrorist Iranian regime and will implement President Trump's policies to protect America from adversaries as the FBI director, said transition spokesperson Alex Pfeiffer. Now, the apparent hackers targeted his communications, but whether they succeeded and how much access they had to his data is still being evaluated, the sources have said. The FBI has declined to comment at this time. The news of Iran's potential targeting of Patel was first reported by Semaphore. Now, this comes after months of warnings from the FBI and other federal agencies of Iranian cyber activity targeting Trump campaign staff leading up to the 2024 presidential election. In September, Justice Department prosecutors charged 3 members of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps with launching a broad hacking campaign against U.S. officials, including those close to Trump. In August, Microsoft said that Iran was increasing its efforts to influence the November elections and in one case had targeted a presidential campaign with an email phishing attack as well. Kimiko, thank you for the $5 super chat. I recently left Verizon after about 20 years because I was hacked and my phone bill was 5x the normal average amount and they had no explanation, no help. Wow. I am sorry to hear that, Kimco. I'm glad that you left them. And hopefully that they helped you out with that. Sorry to hear that. Thank you for that $5 super chat. Yeah, they are saying to just do everything that you can right now to make sure that you are watching yourself, protect yourself. That's basically what they're saying. Now, reading on, it says Trump and his allies, including members of his first administration, have been targets of Iran since the 2020 assassination of General Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. airstrike in Baghdad, and U.S. officials continue to warn of those cyber attack campaigns in recent months. The 44-year-old Patel served in intelligence and defense roles in Trump's first term, including chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense. He was also designated by Trump to be a representative to the National Archives and Records Administration and fought a subpoena to testify before a federal grand jury in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. He is an attorney and staunch Trump loyalist who rose to prominence as an aide to former Republican Representative Devin Nunes of California, fighting the investigations into Russian interference in the 2016 elections. He served on Trump's National Security Council, then as a senior advisor to acting director of National Intelligence Rick Grenell, and later as chief of staff to acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller. So there you have it. They are targeting Trump's campaign. Now his FBI pick Iran coming after Trump. They're saying this is retaliation for the assassination of Soleimani many years ago. And we have been hearing these warnings for quite some time. This article actually coming out back in February, and we've been hearing this over and over from FBI Director Wray, CISA, FBI. They warn of China-linked hackers pre-positioning for destructive cyber attacks against U.S. critical infrastructure. And I've been sharing this here on the channel, letting people know that what they are saying is coming is that we had heard from the FBI dozens and dozens of our critical infrastructure systems that have been hacked by Chinese hackers. They have been compromised. However, they have not activated these attacks, but they have access to our water systems, communication systems, our ports, our hospitals, transportation systems, our electrical grids. All of these critical infrastructure systems, they are saying they have been hacked and compromised by this various hacker groups. And they said originally dozens upon dozens, but now they're saying multiple times more than that. And these are just the ones that they know of. And they're saying that they are doing this because they want to do a destructive cyber attack against our U.S. critical infrastructure systems, coordinated all at once simultaneously to wreak havoc on the United States. Now, why is it that China is doing this? And why is it that China is letting us know? Well, they are saying that this is a strategic move by China. So if you're wondering, why are they warning us? Why wouldn't they just do it? And why are they doing this? We've actually been hearing this has been going on for the past 5 years. It is a strategic play. As I mentioned to you here on the channel, these war games, these are not tactical. This is not, I woke up this morning and I decided that I'm going to hit the United States. This is China in preparation for an attack against Taiwan to take back that nation. But they're aware of the fact that the United States is an ally with Taiwan, and the U.S. will come to the aid of Taiwan and hinder China from that attack when they launch war. So, in anticipation of that, China is now hacking U.S. critical infrastructure systems, so that way when they're prepared to launch war against Taiwan, China will then, they're saying, initiate all of these hacked infrastructure systems. They will activate them all at once to shut down hospitals, power grids, water systems, ports, wreak havoc on U.S. systems, distracting us and taking away our ability to come to the aid of Taiwan. So China is letting us know they've done this, and they're essentially distracting us from it and threatening us, saying we have the capability. All we need to do is flip the switch, and we could wreak havoc on the American people. So you better think twice when we go to war with Taiwan. So this is the message coming from Xi Jinping and from China with their cyber attack army hitting the United States. So this is strategic war games. This is not tactical. Like I said, this is not just I woke up and decided to go to war and I decided to just hack systems. These are for very specific purposes and reasons that they are making these war moves. And without a doubt, this is going in the direction of war. We are hearing that China, and the reports are saying likely before the year 2027, if I remember correctly, they're saying that they believe China will initiate war on Taiwan. So they're saying make preparations now if you can, because these cyber attacks, they're not going to slow down. They're going to speed up. And what you're going to see is these seem to be occurring all the time. These are testers of making sure that they have fully infiltrated U.S. critical infrastructure systems. And if they feel they've done so successfully, when the time comes, they will initiate these, all of them, simultaneously across the U.S., wreaking havoc on the American people. So all we can do right now is take time to make sure that we are prepared. Can you live life without your phone if it is hacked and they're shut down? Do you have paper maps ready? Do you have flashlights? Do you have things ready if the power grids go down? Do you have backup food and water? And right now, not even with the threat of cyber attacks, but also just with the threat of nuclear war and World War III coming from Russia against NATO nations, we're hearing that various nations in Europe, Norway, Finland, Sweden, they are handing out pamphlets to their American citizens telling them, stock up. Stock up now. In Russia, they are putting out those mobile nuclear fallout shelters that can support 54 people at a time, saying just in case we break out into nuclear war, be ready. Other nations warning their people. The U.S. just saying, hey, we were hacked. Figure out how to encrypt your messages. So it is on you. It is on us to make sure that we are prepared ourselves. So if you have not done so yet, I recommend that you do so. I'm trying to gather up resources for people that want to stock up, supply, be ready. If not, it's totally fine. I pray that none of this actually happens, but I feel like it's better to be prepared than to be scared. So links down below. And also, if you appreciate that, and you appreciate that I share with you all the latest information, cite all the sources, put it on the screen, hyperlink down below so I can hold myself accountable to the community. You can see the dates, see it as the latest. Take a quick second if you haven't done so yet and hit that like button. I think 40 more likes will get half of the room to have liked the video while we're live. Helps out with the algorithm a ton, spreads this out further. I appreciate that. Also, like I said, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And also, all those links down below in the description. But I will continue to keep you guys up to date so that way you know everything that is going on, as we're hearing that the largest hack in history, U.S. history, has unfolded. Everyone's iPhones, consider them compromised. Everyone's Android phones, consider them compromised, especially if you use AT&T and Verizon. And they're saying try to use encryption apps as much as possible, because just take into consideration whatever you're sending out on phone calls could be recorded. Whatever you're sending out on texts, they could be intercepted. So if you're sending out personal information, bank account information, passwords, logins, credit card information, be careful, because they are saying it can be intercepted. So use encryption whenever possible. So like I said, though, I will keep you guys up to date as more information comes out. That is the latest, and I will catch you guys in the next one. As I mentioned, doing several live streams now, it seems like a day, because so much info was coming out. I will continue to keep you guys up to speed. I see you guys making those comments in there. Russia preparing for cyber attack, says Billy. Jesse says, I'm not ready. Don't worry, Jesse. Get ready. Use some of those links down below, especially right now with all the Cyber Monday deals and all the stuff going on. Now might be the time to stock up. Cassandra saying, thank you, Steve. RJ saying, this is crazy. Thank you, Steve. You are welcome. Jesus is my Lord, says 1 Corinthians 13:13. God bless you, Steve. God bless you guys. Thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.